Hello everyone, Gashbad here. I'm bringing you my second game of the California Batman Miniature Game Championships. If you haven't watched my report for the first game and you don't want me to accidentally mention stuff that happened there, go back, watch that video because I may mention some things that happened. The second round is skirmish, so it's a pretty basic scenario. We line up on our opposite deployment zones and the objectives are all in their usual place. You get bonus victory points for taking out leaders and lots of the gang. It's pretty straightforward. I'll be playing against Matthew. I believe Matthew is one of the Little Gotham podcast guys. I think he had one of those Little Gotham shirts on. So he's using Court of Owls. Now, I'm pretty familiar with Court of Owls, so I'm coming into this somewhat confident and somewhat not. First off, I know that they're kind of scary, and I don't think that my crew is particularly well equipped to deal with them. On the other hand, I have a pretty good track record against them so far. Unfortunately, a lot of the models that I'm used to fighting against are simply not included in Matthew's crew, so it's a lot of new guys that I got to deal with. But I think they more or less do the same thing. They run forward and they stick you with sharp things until you die. Anyway, let's go over my crew really fast for those who haven't seen the first video. I'm using a Mr. Freeze crew based on the CW TV shows Legion of Doom. So from left to right you have Axe Prisoner, you have Prisoner 03. He has the cooling generator, which is basically a whistle. He gives people the stop rule. Next to him you have Turk. He's just as he is, no special equipment, just his two pistols. Then you have my boss, not my leader, Captain Cold. We have our first free agent, Reverse Flash from the TV show. You have our second free agent, Heatwave, also from the TV show, obviously. Then in the back we have High Security Henchman. High Security Henchman I gave a grapple gun to, so he has the Batclaw rule. And then over on the right we have Prisoner 1, and he has been given the Medipack. Here we see a picture of the table. Apparently we're in Gotham Junction or something like that outside the city limits. We've got our crews deployed, we've got the urban furniture deployed, and we've got our objectives deployed. Now, real fast, I want to go over my opponent's list. We have the High Court member, that's the leader there. I don't really know what he does. I haven't played against him before. Then right next to him, we have a conversion of some kind. It looks like that's Nathaniel O'Malley. And then right next to him, we have Talon. Again, I've never played against Talon. That should be interesting. Then right next to her, we have Strix. Strix I'm real familiar with. And then over on the right there, we have, who is that guy? That's that Ephraim Newhouse guy. Those five guys, they're parked over on my opponent's left-hand side. Over on my right-hand side, we have Henry Ballard with his dagger upraised. Then in the middle, we have the High Court lady. And then all the way over on the right, that's James O'Malley, the grandfather O'Malley. So going back to that first picture of the table and the objectives, there was a little bit of a discussion early on about some of the objectives that my opponent brought. He brought the Wayne Tech high technology or LexCorp technology, and he brought a fire drum. And I guess where he plays, the consensus was that they are deployed in neutral ground, but they can't be any closer to the opponent's table edge than 8 inches. Now I have to admit this is worded awkwardly in the rules. I personally don't see how that can be the interpretation. It seems to me like you have to put it, you can't put it any further away from the opponent's deployment zone than 8 inches. So it has to be in sort of this 8-inch strip right outside the opponent's deployment area. Anyway, yeah, there was a little difference of opinion. It actually carried on throughout the tournament. I talked to some of the guys about it, and it was all very amiable and stuff. The tournament organizer wandered by, and we thought, I think we asked him, and he said, no, it goes on the opponent's half of the table. So I think this kind of spun my opponent a little bit. He was counting on those objectives being on his side. I offered him my some spare Titans and ammos and that kind of thing. He declined. He stuck with the original one. So you can see in the center of the board, he's got a Wayne Tech LexCorp high technology thing kind of in the center on the left, and he's got a fire barrel over on, center right. His loot, he brought a loot, and that's way over on the left. My loot is right on that train station on the porch kind of area. It's right underneath there. And you can see my Titan right in the center. My ammo is all the way on the right, kind of covered up by that building. For strategies, he used, I don't remember all the ones that he used. He definitely used one where he gets extra sewer counters that only he can use. For me, I used fake objective, and I used the one that brings an objective closer to you, change of plans. Now, I really did like the fast advance from the first game, but having played against Court of Owls guys before, I really don't want to get much closer to them. I think they're just going to tear me apart in close combat, so I wasn't keen to make their job any easier. So I did the fake objective, and I did the change of plans, and I dragged my Titan just a little bit forward, as you can see a little bit there. And I made a mistake with the fake objective. Now, I'm not used to using strategies, so I put the fake objective on the loot, thinking, okay, it's just -1 victory points, done. Well, it's not. It's -1 victory points for taking the loot to a minimum of 1. So either I didn't read it all the way, or this is different from how it used to be. Either way, it didn't really bother him, because he was sending, what's that guy's name? Ephraim Newhouse to go grab that loot. And I think he would have done this anyway, because he has, a primary objective loot. So either way, he'd be getting 1 victory point, because, either it'd be 2 -1, making it 1, or whatever. He'd be getting 1 victory point from that loot, one way or the other. And so I hope, again, that doesn't change very much, but, just me not having played enough with all this. So here's a picture of my deployment, sort of from my opponent's point of view. So I put all my guys pretty centrally. Let's go from left to right. I've got the Axe Prisoner, center left. I've got Turk, then I've got the Prisoner with the Pipe, then there's Heatwave, then there's Captain Cold, and then there is High Security Henchman. And you see that empty base right there. Those are his special sewer counters that I can't use. And you can't see him from this shot here, but way over on the left-hand side, my right, is going to be Reverse Flash. And of course, he's going to go and he's going to do his own thing off away from the rest of the group. The counters go in the bag and we draw one. I believe my opponent gets the first draw, which again, that's what I would rather have. So he's going to take the lead, but before all that happens, we have the Speed Force phase. So of course, Reverse Flash is going to do what he always does. He's going to use Super Speed level 1, Super Speed level 2, he's going to use Muscle Growth, and he's going to use Fast Combo. I pretty much use those same powers every time. So, just expect that a lot. And he's going to do exactly what he does. He's going to move forward up the board. He's looking to get at that. He's looking at 2 things. He's looking at that ammo objective of mine, and he's looking at the loot on the other side of that building. So we'll see how these Court of Owls guys over on the right side of the table, what they do. Again, I don't want a bunch of close combat guys stabbing Reverse Flash a whole bunch. So I'll just see how all that plays out, and I'll probably activate him last to try and grab some victory points, because that's his job. It's my opponent's turn to activate, and he takes Henry Ballard out, and he goes and just grabs himself that loot. My turn, I don't want to commit anything too soon, so Turk just moves straight up the board. Try to cover some of that area with his twin handguns. He takes Talon and hides her behind that van over on the left. And I decide, let's go for it. I don't know if this is an awesome idea, but I want to do this. So I take High Security Henchman, he pulls out his grapple gun, and he goes and claims that LexCorp high-tech gadget. And, he's got a movement die left. He actually goes and pulls it. He gets a Disruptor, which is absolutely no help to me whatsoever, because none of these guys have firearms or beam weapons. But, we were joking. We thought it would be awesome if this guy had 2 grapple guns and it can just sling around like Spider-Man. I'm not sure, if you have 2 grapple guns, can you use them both in the same round? Can you add like 16 inches to your movement? Because that would just be awesome. But it was not to be in this case. Okay, his turn. He takes, what's his guy? Ephraim Newhouse. He jams towards his fake loot. He can't quite make it though. He's just a little bit shy. I take Pipe Prisoner and I move him up to help support Turk over there. We got a little fire base going in the middle of the table. So he decides he doesn't want me to grab a bunch of objectives really close right off the bat. So he matches my aggressive move with an aggressive move of his own, and he takes Strix straight up there to contest that objective. Okay, that's fine. I can just barely get Axe Prisoner over there to that, fire barrel. Hobo fire, whatever it is. So he's going to get those points, so I'm not going to get shut out this round. Captain Cold moves up to the center of the table. I'm not sure if he actually even goes and takes a shot at Strix. I want to shoot at the guy going for the loot, but he has stealth, so I can't actually hit him. I think I just move up and save my ammo for the time being. You know what? I'm going to take that back. I think I actually do take a shot, but I don't think I do much of anything. So here it looks like you can see over by that red shipping container, Nathaniel O'Malley has moved up in support. And I realized that the 2 people closest to me either don't have dodge or don't have any movement dice left. So I think, hey, this is a great opportunity. Let's really go out and get these guys. Heatwave runs up and just sprays a bunch of fire all over all those guys. Now that puts Strix in the lethal range, and O'Malley just gets the stun. But I think they're all going to get fire counters, and so that's great. They're going to take damage. They're going to take more fire counters. This is I just really enjoy using flamethrowers in this game. And at the very end, looks like Reverse Flash charges up and just grabs that ammo objective. So it's the next turn, and it looks like I take the lead this round. Now, Reverse Flash isn't really going to do anything. He's plenty happy exactly where he is, picking up those victory points. So then we move on to the next picture, and it looks like I got the first activation, and I was super eager to immediately use Heatwave to do the exact same thing again. He's going to just pour a bunch of fire onto those 2 lead Court of Owls people, and then he's just going to duck back into my lines, sort of leave high security henchmen stranded out there. But I think he does a pile of damage again. Sadly, that gives my opponent his next activation, and Henry Ballard comes up and just knifes poor Axe Prisoner. So now he's on the ground, KO'd. So that's too bad. But we go on to the next one, and it looks like what happened is I thought, hey, you know who I don't like is Strix. I'm going to activate Captain Cold next, and he's going to fire 2 shots straight over all that junk in the middle. And of course, he's got a beam weapon, so that's not going to give her much of a ping. But it looks like he probably hit her a couple of times and just took her straight out, just froze her head, and she's going to have to go back to the reanimation studio or whatever the Court of Owls use. Anyway, that gives his guy, Nathaniel O'Malley, a chance to run up and try to stab high security henchmen, and I think that the rules just don't come up for him here either. High security henchman is just being a boss, and he toughs it out. My next activation looks like it's going to be Turk. Turk sees no reason not to fire both guns at Nathaniel O'Malley, doing a little bit more damage. Here we have Ephraim Newhouse. Ephraim Newhouse grabs his loot. He's going to pick up his 1 victory point a round. He's done his job. My next activation looks like High Security Henchman has decided he does not want James O'Malley on that LexCorp objective anymore. He goes crazy with his knives like High Security Henchman does and just takes him out. That guy was on fire. He had taken a bunch of damage from a couple different sources. Yeah, so that was that crazy guy. Now, if I had remembered Criminal, I would have given him his additional willpower. I didn't remember it. I forgot. He does not want me to have that LexCorp objective, though. So here comes Talon. Talon doesn't have the dice or the counters to do anything else, but she does run up and contest that objective. For my part, I am a big fan of Axe Prisoner. I don't want him lying down on the job. I run the prisoner with the tube up, and I use his med kit. So I have woken up the Axe Prisoner, and I'm also claiming, or I'm at least contesting that fire barrel objective. High Court Lady has jumped into the sewer, and she doesn't like being around Reverse Flash very much, I guess, and so she has joined the High Court member kind of off back away from the action, overseeing the left-hand side of the board, basically yielding the right-hand side of the board to me to a large extent. It definitely looks like James O'Malley has done the exact same thing and joined her. He took the sewer maps strategy, which allows him to have one more model than usual enter the sewers. Reverse Flash is left with not much to do, so he's happily sitting on his ammo objective, gathering up more stuff to go continue their crime spree around Gotham. So it's the next round. Again, Reverse Flash is absolutely happy where he's at. He doesn't need to do anything but sit there, so his Speed Force powers don't really matter. But it's my opponent's turn to take the lead. So he's going to activate Talon first, and she starts slicing up high security henchmen. Now, I don't think that she actually KOs him here. I think she just does a bunch of damage and knocks him down. So in my turn, I think, well, I don't want that guy knocked down in front of a bunch of Court of Owls people. I'm going to run around here, and I'm going to try and stab her a couple times. Well, that opens up my opponent's activation, and he runs up with James O'Malley, and yeah, this time I think a high security henchman's gonna have to sleep that one off. I think this time he is KO'd. So I might have passed here. I'm not exactly sure how the numbers are working out, but I have a picture showing the High Court member moving up and doing something. I'm not exactly sure what, maybe a little Inspire, that kind of thing. I don't think it matters too much. The next thing that happens, though, is I activate Turk, and I get to unload both handguns again, which is fantastic, into Talon. And you don't see her around anymore. So that must have gone super well, so she's going to have to cool her heels as well. High Court Lady decides they really want that technology, so she runs up to claim that objective. Heatwave thinks, hey, this has been working this whole time, might as well just keep the hits coming. He's going to spray both James O'Malley and High Court Lady down with more fire. I believe James O'Malley is going to be the gentleman here and take that hit for the lady. So he's got even more damage. I don't think he's going to survive this round. I think he's just going to burn to death at the end. Reverse Flash is perfectly happy, sitting on more ammo. And that looks like the end of the game. So sorry about how disjointed this battle report was. I must have not been paying as close attention about taking the pictures because obviously Captain Cold was around there shooting his cold gun at people. Yeah, I don't have pictures of what's going on at that fire drum over there, but I'm pretty sure that Henry Ballard gets put unconscious at some point. That's because of Captain Cold shooting at him. And again, this seems to be a kind of a short game. Looks like we only got 3 rounds in. But this was a real bloodbath. I mean, we both just sprang forward and just, wow. Let's see, who did my opponent lose? Well, he's still got both of his High Court members. Ephraim Newhouse is around over there, and he's got his loot. And James O'Malley is standing over. Yeah, I don't think he survived. I think he's gone. So I think he's down to just 3 models, which means he would have lost 5 guys in 3 rounds. So this was and of course those are Court of Owls guys, so they each give additional victory points up when they get taken out. So again, I gathered up just a gigantic amount of victory points in a pretty short period of time. So even if this game had gone on, it's not looking good for my opponent. So yeah, I'm doing pretty well here. I don't really know much what to say about that. The tournament organizer even comes by at one point and says, "Hey, it looks like you actually got 2 good wins here." You know, all surprised because he knows my level of skill here. But yeah, I'm happy with it. And again, it was a really great opponent. I really like playing with these new guys. it's all been a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. So anyway, thanks for watching. I will see you on the next one.